Welcome to a bonus episode of the Health with Hashimoto's podcast. On bonus episodes, I do book reviews. I would love to know what books I should be reading next. What do you recommend? Let's talk about it. Hop over to the Health with Hashimoto's community over on school.com, SKOOL.com, and let me know what books I should be reading next. For any book that I give a positive book review to, there will be an affiliate link down in the show notes. Of course, you can still go to your local library and support your local bookstore. Amazon is just available for everybody, so the affiliate link is down there. Today's book is written by two of the leading names in this wellness space. They have been pumping out books and information and knowledge, education for decades. I don't know how long. I feel like they both were on the forefront of things when I started learning about holistic health and essential oils and diet and stuff. And now they've come together and they've written a book. So the two authors are Dr. Josh Axe and Jordan Rubin, who is not a doctor, but super, super, super smart and educated in wellness. So they came together and they wrote the book, The Biblio Diet. It is healing secrets from the Bible. They say live long, master metabolism, reduce pain, fight depression, and conquer cancer. That is the subtitle for this book, The Biblio Diet. It is a really interesting book. Quick to read, lots of facts. I wrote a review, and in it, I specifically said that the book is simple enough that my teenage son was intrigued, yet it had enough depth that I, as a holistic nurse educator, remained engaged in learning. So, fun fact about me, I can't handle hearing chewing noises, not my own, not anybody else's, so I always have something on while we're eating. If there are other people in the room, it's a non-vocal music. Classical music is what I like, but whatever. If it's just myself, it's a podcast or an audiobook. And so one of my sons was walking through or making his lunch, and I had this book on, and he was learning things. He was listening, he was commenting. So it's an interesting book, no matter your age. I feel like there's a lot to learn. One thing that I was worried about was some books that come from a Christian background, I feel like have some shame and have some shoulds and shouldn'ts. And I was worried, especially with a chapter titled Eat This, another chapter titled Don't Eat This. I was worried that it would be a lot of if you don't do it this way, you're wrong. And I didn't get that vibe from the book. It was a lot of education. Here is something that is good for you. Here is something that is rooted in the Bible. Here is something that people have been doing for thousands and thousands of years, and they have better health outcomes when you do it this way. So I thought it was a really good book. Let me read a little bit from the back, and then I'll give you the table of contents, because that also, helps you figure out if you want to read it. It's not, I wouldn't say this is a book that stands head and shoulders above all of the other books about diet and healthy living, but it is a very good book, and it's rooted in thousands of years of history. All right, so here's from the back. In this breakthrough book, New York Times bestselling authors and nutrition experts Jordan Rubin and Dr. Josh Axe offer a simple and holistic plan for building strength, health, and longevity. Based on the ancient wisdom of the Bible and confirmed by modern science, the Biblio Diet's intuitive and easy-to-follow plan invites you to experience a breakthrough in the health of your entire family by learning to eat and live God's way. It was a very good book. One thing that stood out for me that actually my son heard, and he told his table at camp when they were having some fries. He said, "Did you know that eating a large McDonald's fries is the equivalent of smoking 20 packs of cigarettes when it comes to your cancer risk?" Which is something that we learned while reading this book. That's in a section about seed oils. Yeah. Changes how you look at some of the things we eat. And it's not to shame you, it's to say, here is what we know, and let's change our habits. Let's do a little better. All right, here are some of the chapters, and the chapters that I thought they did a really good job with. Chapter 1 is the Biblical Longevity Blueprint. Chapter 2, Nourish to Flourish. Chapter 3 is all about fasting. They did at one point or two in the chapter talk about autoimmune conditions, Hashimoto's, and being a female and how those things might have to change how you fast or when you do it. I, as somebody who is a fan of Dr. Mindy Peltz and has read Fast Like a Girl, I didn't think that they put enough about that in there because men and women are different, and where we are in our cycle does change how we respond to fasting and how it can increase the stress on the body, especially if you have Hashimoto's. So I felt like they could have done a little better in that part, but if you have read Fast Like a Girl or if you have listened to any of Dr. Mindy's information, then you probably have enough to be able to supplement that chapter and implement it. Chapters 3 and 4 are don't eat that, eat this. Chapter 6 is about fat. Then let's see, I'm going to scroll down here. There's some salt, bread. They talk about spices. Chapter 13 is about essential oils. And I have to tell you, back when I was in high school and my mom first learned about essential oils, the one she specifically started using was tea tree oil, and we were not educated at that time, and we didn't have the internet. We didn't know about applying essential oils directly to the body and making sure they were diluted. And so I would use one drop, just a drop of tea tree essential oil and put that on my skin. And so since the time I was in high school, so it's been 30 years, I think, I have had a sensitivity to tea tree oil. I can't have anything that has tea tree oil in it or I will break out in a rash. It's not an allergy. It's a sensitivity caused by misuse of essential oils. So I am very, very leery of anything that has essential oils that doesn't have a disclaimer about proper use. So chapter 13 did rub me the wrong way because of my history, because I am still, 30 years later, impacted by using essential oils improperly because we didn't know better. There is some good information in chapter 13 about the healing properties of essential oils. I would just add my caveat is please use proper dilution and do not ingest essential oils. I know there are companies who say our oils are pure and you can put them in water and drink them. But the thing is, it's not the purity, it's the potency. It's the potency of the essential oil and how it interacts with your cell membrane and with the cells and with your digestive tract and how it can cause problems. So please, there's my disclaimer. Essential oils are very, very powerful, which is one reason they're in this book, because they are powerful and they can help. They have a lot of really good uses. Chapter 14 is a reason to buy this book. Chapter 14 is about cancer and leaves. Leaves, like the leaves on fruit trees. Have you ever heard such a thing? Dr. Josh Axe, I believe it was him. Yeah, he was talking about, I don't remember if it was him or his wife had a dream that someday he would figure out a cure for cancer. And another day after that, when he had that dream or his wife had that dream, he was like, yeah, I mean, that would be really nice, God, but people have been pouring so much money and time and research into cancer. Who am I to figure out a solution? And then he was reading, I believe it was in Revelation, talking about a tree of life and its leaves were healing for the nations. And he was like, oh, I wonder, and he started going down this rabbit trail. And so chapter 14 about healing leaves is worth the book. Like, just get the book for that chapter itself. I believe on Jordan Rubin's website, you can read just that chapter. But I would get the book because it's all good. So chapter 17 is the Biblio eating plan. If you get the audiobook like I did, if you get it through your library, you don't usually get the accompanying PDF. If you get it from audiobooks.com, which is the company that I use, or Audible, then of course you will get the accompanying PDF. You can print that out. And I believe it's a 7-day jumpstart eating plan. It gives you the grocery list. It gives you everything you need so that you can follow this Biblio diet. So interesting book. I would recommend it. So here are my my star ratings, a 5-star review is something that will change my life, that I will read again, or that could change my life. A 4-star review is something that I really liked, but I don't think I'll read it again, or I don't think it will change my life. I did give this book a 5-star. I think really that chapter on healing leaves would be enough to give it 5 stars. But the book as a whole was very good, and I highly recommend either getting it from your local library, getting it on audio, or purchasing the book. I will have a link down in the show notes to get it on Amazon. Let me know what book I should read next. This podcast is for informational and educational purposes only. Please discuss any questions or concerns with your healthcare professional. No statements have been evaluated by the Food and Drug Administration, and any products mentioned are not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any disease.